back to my channel. I'm JC. Today's video is going to be, it's a little bit of an updated video because I had a video a while ago, a long time ago, where I listed all of my projects and the phases that they were in and the things that I'm working on, front burner, back burner, if you will. So I have a bit of an updated list to that. I don't even remember what was on that particular video, on that list, but we're just gonna work with the list that I have now in front of me. There are a lot more than I thought there were when I listed them out. Now these are projects that I have on the front burner, back burner, and some are in the oven cooking a little bit. In various genres. This is not even the pen name projects, by the way, because that's a whole separate thing. But okay, so here we go. Well, no, okay, I can't count that one. I have to take that off the list. I had to wait if her still on the list when I wrote this, because when I wrote this list, when I knew I was going to do this video, I hadn't published it yet. So that's published. But I guess I'll start with the more front burner projects and then shift to the back burner, kind of getting ready to move to front burner projects. And when we get to the shiny new ideas, those will be the ones that are like in the oven cooking. Bear with me and I'll tell you the different phases that they're in. When Love Calls, well, it's completed. The second draft is completed. I'm working on the third draft revisions now. So that's the phase that that's in. I hope to publish that in 2025, next year. I have a date in mind, but I'm just not going to say that yet. The next is a series, but it's 4 books. Mystery Brown. Mackenzie, I said Mystery Brown. Wow. Mackenzie Brown Mystery Series, Book 1. Well, Book 1, Book 2, Book 3, and Book 4 are all completed first drafts. I am going to shift Book 1 into revision stage at some point next year, probably in the beginning of next year. I'm reading through now. So that is like front burner after When Love Calls, of course, because I'm working on getting that published first. 2, 3, and 4. I think I've worked out how I want to publish those. Should I decide not to query, because that's a possibility. I'm thinking about it. But I've decided how I wanted to publish those, but I'll share more about that in my writing plans for 2025 and beyond video. That'll be coming in a couple of weeks. I actually looked up to see if I had synopsises written out for the Mackenzie Brown, and the only one that I actually have one written out for is Book 1. And hold on. Let me see if I can pull that up so I can read it for you. Oh, here we go. Okay, there apparently are 2 versions of this synopsis. Okay, we're gonna go with the first one. It says Mackenzie Brown wants to break into investigative reporting for the Baltimore Times, but can't get her editor to give her the break that she needs to prove what an asset she can be. But when her former college boyfriend, ex-Congressman Andrew Litney, is brutally murdered behind the alley of a strip club, the opportunity to prove her worth presents itself. But that opportunity comes with immeasurable consequences, as it stirs up things from her past that she has tried her best to keep buried. As she digs further and further into the ex-congressman's past indiscretions in an effort to discover the person that murdered him, she not only finds everything hitting closer to home than she ever thought it would be, but she also uncovers things about herself that might have never been brought to light. Can Mackenzie keep her personal baggage from interfering with the story that could give her journalism career the boost that it desperately needs? I'm not sure I like that. I think this is the second version. Second version of that synopsis is when Mackenzie Brown tries to break into investigative reporting, she never imagined that her first story would hit so close to home. The late ex-congressman Andrew Litney, who also happens to be Mackenzie's college sweetheart, was brutally murdered, and Mackenzie sees their history as her chance to prove that she's up to the job. As her investigation deepens into the ex-congressman's indiscretions to get closer to finding a suspect, it opens up old wounds of her past that she wasn't prepared to deal with. In trying to discover who murdered Andrew Litney, she uncovers things that link to her that had never been brought to light. Can Mackenzie keep her personal baggage from interfering with the progression of her career? I'm not sold on that one either, but those are the two synopses for that. So, but moving right along, I don't have a synopsis for and which is crazy because the second one I feel like has such good potential for a good synopsis there, but I don't have a synopsis for 2, 3, or 4. I'm working on it. When I work on that, I'll get back to you. Her Own Separate Life it's started. It's not actually finished, and I need to re-outline it so that I can go back and redraft it. So that's where that's at. That is kind of like which is such a separation for me, my mafia romance type of book. Dramatic mafia romance? I don't know. Dramatic romance? We'll figure that out later. That is actually probably, I was going to move it to the front burner, but I think I might keep it on the back burner because I have some other things that I want to work on more. Moving right along. The next one is, I have my poetry / essay collection, scars I've collected along the way, my nonfiction book. And then there's the other nonfiction book for the Crazy Makers, which is kind of a writer's motivational essay type of book, but also nonfiction. Those are not necessarily back burner projects. If there was a middle burner, they would be in the middle. There are ovens with middle burners. It would be in the middle. Then I have the Paranormal Mystery series. Well, it's going to be a trilogy. And we did brainstorm. The writer's room, Morgan, Tiffany, and Barrett helped me brainstorm some ideas that I am going to run with as soon as I compile them all on paper in the same document. But that's going to be a trilogy, and I have, book 1 is in brainstorming. Well, actually, book 1, 2, and 3 are in brainstorming because when you're planning a trilogy, I feel like you need to plan out the whole thing so that you can figure out where the stopping point for each book would be. Because you don't want to give everything away in the book 1, but you don't want to leave too many loose ends that can't be tied up in the next book and then tied up ultimately in the third. So I'll be brainstorming all 3 of those. Then there's the London Chronicles, my middle grade series, which I do want to query that one, obviously, because it's middle grade. And book 1 is already drafted and complete. Probably need to revise that one before I even entertain the thought of querying it. So that's on hold. To query that is on hold. There's some brainstorming happening for book 2, but I kind of also want to, it was suggested that I hold off on writing the next subsequent books in the London Chronicle series until I do revise the first one and then query it, because if an agent picked it up or if it sold or anything like that, they would likely have some changes that they might want to make for the following books. So kind of want to get ahead of myself in drafting book 2 and subsequent books after that. So we'll see. Then there's the young adult books that are in the brainstorming phase. One is called I Wish I Wasn't Here. And okay, that one, I can't really get into what that one is about because I haven't fully I have 2 different plot lines that I go with. Both of them are heavy, and I'm not entirely sure which one I want to go with, and I'm not quite ready to share what either of those plot lines are just yet. But it's kind of a coming of age type of thing for a young adult, a young teenager coming into her own and realizing certain things about herself through the actions of others and her responses to those actions. And I know I'm being very, very vague, but that's about all I can say about that, or that I'm comfortable with saying about that at the moment. Then the other one is Where is Madison Dubois, which is it's young adult, and it's kind of touching on the elitism and just certain other aspects of, again, not completely fleshed out just yet, but we'll get there. And then there's When Love Calls book 2, Morgan's book, which was not planned. Morgan is the best friend in When Love Calls, which I wasn't really planning on doing a follow-up book to that, but there have been requests made. And I'm entertaining the thought, and as I read over the first, when I did my read-through before, I kind of was like, I kind of wonder what her story would be like. So that's the second book. And then there's the diary book 2, which is basically would follow the daughter of the daughter from the diary. If you read it, then you know how it ends, and there's some questions left unanswered there, and a certain suggestion was made that I could maybe answer them. And I wasn't thinking about it until an idea popped in my head a few weeks ago about how to write a follow-up book to that, and the ideas kind of took a life of their own in my head. And so now that's in the oven cooking. Actually, no, that's more on the back burner. The young adult books are more in the oven cooking, along with the paranormal mystery series. It's it's fine. But, and then there are the 2 projects that kind of came out of nowhere, but not really. Sort of. Actually, no. The sequel books to When Love Calls and the diary also came out of nowhere. But there's the 7 Deadly Sins story collection, which I'm actually going to do as a Patreon story for now. It'll release when it's all done over on Patreon first. So if you're a Patreon member, you'll get to see the story first before anyone else does. And also the Weight of Our prequel story, which completely was not a plan at all. So the lovely Dee suggested it, and then I started writing a scene, and it just kind of took off on a life of its own also. But I don't know how long it's going to be. I've already released 4 parts of the story on my Patreon. Again, if you're a Patreon member, go check out my Patreon for the story. So I've already released 4 parts of that story. I don't actually know where it's going to end, but whenever it does end and I wrap it up, I'll consider whether it's going to be released as a novella or not in full. We shall see. But in total, I just counted up the amount of projects that is. I think I'm a little insane. 16 projects. I'm not working on them simultaneously, so I'm not completely crazy. But that's 16 projects. That's a lot. And that is not including the pen name projects. Might have lost my mind a little bit. But anyway, those are the list of my projects and everything that I am working on probably for the next couple of years. So, buckle up. Who knows what's going to happen or how many of those I'm actually going to finish in the next couple of years. Your guess is as good as mine. But with that said, that is going to be it for this video. That's all of my projects. So if you're following along on my journey, you'll see them as they all unfold, however long that takes. If you're on my Patreon, you'll probably see them before the rest of the world. So follow me over there on Patreon and get exclusive content and little behind the scenes sneak peeks and all that stuff. So that's going to be it for this video. If you like what you see and you want to see more videos from me, make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button. I post videos on Mondays. I live stream on Wednesdays, but not the last Wednesday of this month, and at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as per usual, if you would like to be supportive of me in any of my creative endeavors, such as my blog, my online magazine, my online store with writer merch, my Ko-fi page, or my Patreon, where you can get exclusive content and behind the scenes sneak peeks, or by buying my books on Amazon or reading them on Kindle Unlimited, all of those links can be found in the description box below. And until next time, have a blessed day. Bye.